Hey everybody, it's Callus. Welcome to the finals of ADV Open number 4 for Pokemon Perfect's 2021 season. Let's see. Alright, first of all, I want to make a pretty major correction here. When I narrated his semifinal game, I said that Johnnyg2 had made a couple runs but had not gotten this far, but I was completely wrong. I had somehow entirely forgotten that not only did he reach the finals, but he actually won our original ADV Open this year. So he's actually already won this whole thing once, and now he's back to the finals for the second time. Should he win here, I mean, 2 open wins in one season, that would remind me of another ladder hero who turned out to be pretty good that did the same thing last year. That would be a very impressive number, and Johnny might be even better than I thought if he could manage to pull that off. He's going to be against a pretty experienced player, also someone who ladders a lot, also someone with SPL experience, and someone with CI experience as well. So Altina here, very worthy opponent for Johnny, and someone who's also been deep in these ADV Open top 4s, top 2s, his share of times. I believe he has a second place finish behind him as well. So these guys definitely know each other. They're familiar. Not much more introduction needed. It's a best of 3 as this whole tournament is. I'm going to do it all in one video. Let's see who the champ is. They're both qualified no matter what at the end for the championship tour at the end of the year. But you still want the first place trophy. So Johnny's on the bottom and Altina's on the top. He's got the all Asian symbol Salamence lead. And it's weird because that doesn't have Asian symbols. I don't know what these nicknames are, but nevertheless, Meta comes in, gets blown up on by another Meta. Protect, blah blah, but we do have Magneton coming in here. Double Protect, why not? But still almost certainly dead here, especially if it's holding Magnet. And yep, even after the 2 Protects, still goes down. So it's just a trade, but the momentum with Johnny, because he can switch in whatever he wants. Opts for Relax, that gets quickly checked by B. Leech Seed Shadow Ball does a lot at +1, 62% there. But Celebi, if it has Recover, which it almost always does with a Leech Seed set, is going to be just fine. Maybe this one doesn't, though. He's got Substitute, and he's going to miss Leech Seed obnoxiously. Gets his sub popped by Dragon Claw there. He certainly, instead of Seeding, I think would Recover there if he had that option. So maybe he doesn't have it. And a nice switch up for Johnny to Fire Blast there to get the kill. So Johnny with the momentum here, straight up 5-4 lead. Stays in for Brick Break, does a ton but doesn't kill. And Mence is no longer faster after Tar goes for the DD. Rock Slide, that'll do it at +1. Down goes the Mence, and we've got ourselves a quick 4-4. This is a fast game. EQ and Brick Break, sure, heavy damage in exchange for death. Both players have a Salamence, or at least at one point had a Salamence. Altina here meets a Cloyster. It's a physical Mence as opposed to mixed here. Earthquake doesn't do a lot. Not much he could do to actually kill the Cloyster here, and he knows that and he pulls it back. Here's Celebi on T-Tar. BP immediately back to the Mence. Intimidate could matter here, but there is Crunch instead, which does about a third. 35%. There's DD, hoping he doesn't have Ice Beam. Nope, he does have Ice Beam. Down that goes as well, so it's going to be just Gyarados here, effectively. I mean, the Celebi's not going to get it done, so Gyarados is going to have to be the win con, and that is the last poke that he absolutely did not want to see. Largely considered the best Gyarados counter in the game. Zapdos comes in, Gyarados not going to get through that, and Altina at this point, if he didn't already, knows that he's in trouble. There's the Leech Seed. He's not conceding, but this game looks basically in the bag, pending some colossal punt, colossal failure at the end from Johnny. Cloyster here might just boom, even though there's the Intimidate. I mean, at this point, he's just trying to get through the Mons. He plays it really safe and goes Zapdos, which it would need like a crit HP Rock or Double Edge here to get out of this. And Altina does not seem to have those things. I mean, I get that going for it there is a low percentage, but I think you just have to go for it if you have it. He has no other outs that I can see. So I'm thinking that he doesn't have those things, and he is just boned by that Zapdos. That's what it looks like for me. Missing a bunch of Leech Seeds here, but I mean, does it really matter at this stage? Honestly, truly. It's obnoxious for sure, but what does it change? I mean, that's definitely it right there, right? Because now even if he does have HP Rock or Double Edge, Zapdos is just going to be faster and get him with T-Bolt, and we're going to be done. Oh, actually, I guess it's a bulky Zapdos, so the Gyarados is actually faster there, but nevertheless does not seem to have what he would need, which would be the exactly correct moves and immediate luck. Doesn't have those things. Johnny going to take game one. I think the second Altina and myself saw the Zapdos, we knew this one was in the bag. But remember, guys, it's best of 3. That's only the first game. Let's get straight into game 2, see if Johnny can put Altina away or if Altina can force a game 3. Here we go. We will switch the sides for continuity, keeping Johnny on the bottom again and Altina on the top again. Very different scenario this time. We have a Hariyama and a Milotic, respectively, which becomes Hariyama and Claydol. There's a knockoff, and then here's another poke that very well may have knockoff. Yep, so we've had 2 knockoffs from different pokes by the third turn, which is not something in ADV anyway that happens very often, but yeah, we got some knockoffs. So there is the Surf from the Milo. Looks like both of these players brought pretty stally teams. Certainly Altina did. Johnny's, I guess, could still be balanced-ish, but looks pretty stally on both sides for me. There's a Rapid Spinner, and they both have one of those as well, with the Claydol and the Starmie, respectively. There's a Bliss, pretty typical Mon on a very stally team. Hariyama coming in now. Here's a Focus Punch, and that's going to connect with the thing that he already knocked off, since Altina didn't want something else to lose lefties. But there's a third poke getting its item knocked off. And that already got knocked off, so no big deal. Let's see, it was holding lefties before, not Choice Band. But now he doesn't have that. So, Starmie on Bliss. This one could be almost certainly longer than the last one. Last one was, what, 30 turns? Sub 30 turns? This one I can basically guarantee is going to be longer than that, just given the nature of the teams here. Hidden Power, Bug, or Ghost connecting with Claydol there for 43%, but eats the Wish and gets back a little bit more than that. Armaldo here, an always constant threat to Celebi with a stab HP Bug that would rock its world. And he's going to get out of the way. The meta largely being checked by Milotic here, though there is an attack race to make it a little bit more threatening. Altina does not play scared, he just goes straight Surf, he's not recovering, and as it turns out, the meta did not stay in. Psychic can recover, sure. Both of these things have their lefties, which is very important. And now Starmie comes in. We've seen Thunder Wave, so it probably doesn't have Thunder Bolt. Usually the T-Wave set is just the very simple Surf T-Wave, Rapid Spin Recover, and that's what I assume we're looking at here. There's a Toxic Miss and a knockoff. That's not good for Altina, losing his lefties on Milo. I guess he was predicting some kind of switch there, trying to get ahead of a double or whatever, but Johnny simply stayed in and went for the obvious, and Altina punished there for sure. Now, there is no sand going right now, so that certainly makes it so the knockoff is not utterly devastating, but it's definitely not a good thing on the Milo. And they both, unsurprisingly, have a Blissey as well. So, like I said, very stally teams here for both guys. And neither one has spikes. So this really does have potential to be a long and grindy one here. There's Claydol with an Earthquake. Got to be careful about the Claydol just blowing up. I mean, he's already lost his lefties. It doesn't seem like there's going to be spikes for either guy. Maybe the Claydol's not that valuable. Maybe you do blow it up. Now, granted, you don't want to blow it up like into the meta or something that would be pretty underwhelming, but maybe your best bet with the doll at this point really is to just try to trade it in on something. Armaldo getting low for Altina, but he's already gotten a couple knockoffs off, and then same thing, Johnny also with a couple knockoffs off, but I think his Hari still has lefties, and maybe has some longevity. And again, even with an attack raise, Meta is not feeling it against Milo, continuously gets out of the way, even after catching a break with Mash. There's a +1 Giga Drain, that's pretty good, and this is one of many scenarios where Milo's going to really wish that it had lefties, but we know that Blissey can come in on the other side, which is why Johnny made that switch. He thought that's exactly what would happen, but nope, it's going to be a stay in and recover for Altina, so that time Altina outpredicts Johnny, but the more devastating consequences for him were when Johnny outpredicted Altina, and he got rid of the lefties on Milo. It's really a matter of if either player has sand. Either one could have a T-Tower in the back. There are still unreveals for both players. I don't know if I'm Altina, I don't know if I would want to show the T-Tower at this point, given that the Milotic would really not like the sand right now. I mean, maybe in order to win, you have to show the T-Tower, because this really feels like Altina is making zero progress. Not that either player is blatantly smacking the other around. This is a slow, grindy, methodical, stall-on-stall snooze fest that we're watching here. But I mean, if it continues down the road that we're going right now, it looks like Johnny's got the edge and will eventually, slowly and boringly, take this down. So I think if there is some sort of almost sweeper in the back for either player, gotta get it in at some point. Altina's got to have a plan here. I'm not clear what that plan is. Maybe he wants to get the Armaldo in at the right time and get more knockoffs off and catch up in that regard. The Armaldo's getting low, though. Now, we do know, as you can see on the screen, that it's a Wish Bliss, so does have the option to try to pass a Wish to the Armaldo. Right now, he's got to deal with this threat, which is the Celebi setting up in its face. Does have the two Calm Mines, but is going to be scared off by the Seismic Tosses. So here comes Hariyama. Free attempt at a Focus Punch or a knockoff or whatever. Claydol continues to check it, but this is a temporary solution to a long-term problem, and that's probably the best case outcome. That was a good trade for Altina. I think the Hariyama was a continuous issue for his team. The Milo without lefties doesn't love it. The Armaldo doesn't love it. The Blissey definitely doesn't love it. I think the Hariyama was causing a lot of problems, and I think Altina managing to trade with it with a poke that doesn't seem that useful in the Claydol is definitely a positive trade for Altina. I'm surprised, honestly, that Johnny allowed that to happen. He might see this matchup differently than I do. I personally, if I'm Johnny, I might have gone to Starmie there. I don't know how useful that Mon is in the matchup. He does have two other natural cures. The spin doesn't seem to matter. But I mean, it's also, when there's so much unrevealed information, it's easy to say that as a spectator, right? Because when you're in this game right now, you could be looking at it and you could be really scared about what the two pokes are in the back, and maybe you think you need Starmie for something. Maybe you look at it and you go, oh shit, what if he does have a spiker in the back? Or, you know, what if he does have a T-Tower in the back? My meta's getting low. I need a bulky-ish water to give me something so I don't just get swept by T-Tower. I get it. It's really hard to, with two unrevealed, know what to get rid of. But nevertheless, I think I would have really tried to keep the Hariyama around. I don't like that trade for Johnny, and I think Altina got the better end of it. But at least it helps move the game along. It brings us to a 5-5 situation here. And, God, let me just do a little recap here. So we have a no lefties Milotic, got it knocked off. We also have a no lefties Armaldo that got it knocked off. Blissy's got her lefties. Celebi has its, and it's healthy. Meta at 100 now. Nice and healthy again. Starmie healthy. And Blissey healthy. So yeah, everything that's alive for Johnny is in good shape. They've got their items, and yeah, and they're at pretty high percentages of health. On Altina's end, I mean, he's missing some lefties, a couple of them. The Milo and the Armaldo have both dropped their item. But other than that, they're in reasonable shape. The Armaldo is getting lower-ish, or just kidding, this says 100%. I must have missed a wish pass. So I guess we found ourselves at a bit of a stalemate here. There is the Milotic again. Here's the Blissey again. Somebody's going to have to, I mean, whether you start flinging Toxics or whether you finally reveal one of your unrevealeds or whatever, somebody's got to do something to break this, or we are in for a grind. I mean, at least with the Hariyama, this is another reason to keep it around. Even not just for the knockoffs, I mean, you can eventually start just spamming focus punches or what have you and forcing damage. That's what he had been doing, and he had knocked the Claydol pretty low from a few of those good focus punches. I think that could have been a way to move the game forward as well, but it seemed to be struggling to find another way to move it forward here. And we're at the point where they're starting to think about PP. Altina is simply spamming refresh for the sake of, I don't have anything better to do. And there it is again, refresh. Even though this whole time he hasn't had a status on him, it's just a matter of killing a move. Now granted, he could switch to his own Bliss if he wants to waste 0 PP instead of 1 PP, but there are bad things that could happen there too, such as the meta doubling in on the Bliss or something to that effect. So there's an S-Toss. Let's see, does anybody even have status moves? The Milo has Toxic, so that's something. There is still one knockoff user alive in the Armaldo that could make some progress. T-Wave, I guess, but I mean, that's not the devastating status that we would be looking for to move the game forward. I'm kind of thinking something that does actual damage so we can get some momentum here. But yeah, we have safely crossed turn 100 here. This game far longer and grindier than the previous. The other one, like I said, 30 turns, sub 30 turns. We're triple that and counting in this game too. And it might not even be the last game. If Altina wins this game, we're going to a third game, and who knows how long that game will be. But in this case, if Johnny wins, which it's very uncertain right now, to be honest with you, I really don't know who's going to win this game. But if it's Johnny, there won't be a game 3, and he's simply the champ. There's a crit earthquake, but all that's going to do is force a recover. Blissey continuously coming in to check this Celebi, which does not seem to have recover on its own. Looks like a super Celebi. We haven't actually seen the last move, but I feel pretty strongly it's probably HP Fire. It could be BP, but the game hasn't played out in a way to where that makes a lot of sense. It could be sub as well, but same thing. I think there would have been opportunities for that. I think it's just a super B. I think it's just HP Fire, and there really hasn't been a good opportunity to do that because Altina hasn't shown a single weak to fire poke this whole time. And that's not one either, but he does at least show a new poke here. Gyra feels like a weird fit on this team, and it's not a defensive Gyra either. It's a DD Gyra. It's not like it's a rest T-Wave set or something like that as a physical check. And he's got HP Rock, which does a lot, as does the return Rock Slide here, but Gyra at +1/+2, obviously way faster. Switches it up to Earthquake, which is cute. He thinks meta's coming in, but it's not. So finally, we've got some information both ways. There's a DD Gyra as one of the previously unrevealed for Altina, and we know the whole team for Johnny, who's opted for Salamence as his last. So there's only one hidden poke now, finally. That's an unfortunate miss for Johnny. That mash may or may not have killed. Would have been close because there's no sand, but we're not going to find out because, well, he missed. So that's going to keep the Gyra alive and keep the game moving. Still don't know the last poke for Altina. There's a knockoff, so Bliss is going to lose her lefties for Johnny. Good knockoff for Altina. And not able to pull the trigger and attack there. I think HP Bug might have killed Meta there, but he doesn't get that off. And as a result, we get a free boom. It's going to kill something. Something ends up being Milotic, and we're finally moving along here. We find ourselves in a 4-4, and the last poke of the game from Altina gets revealed. It's Jirachi, but it only peeks its head around the corner and goes right back out. We don't know anything about it, has shown nothing. Quick in and out like myself and Jabba's mother. There is the Bliss. Gyarados switching in again. Psychic, that's gone. So lead for Johnny, 4-3. That's going to let something else take the wish. Something else turns out to be Armaldo. Hidden power there, not bad, 30%. But going to go back to the Rachi on the obvious soft-boiled turn. Substitute, trying to block a status move or live a seismic toss. Yep. So it's a 404 HP Rachi, meaning a 101 substitute, which is why it's going to always survive those 100 damage seismic tosses. And he's going to try to set up here. He's got sub, he's got Calm Mind, and he presumably either has one attack and wish or more likely 2 attacks in the back. He's going to try to get as boosted as he can, and yeah, try to beat the Blissey the old-fashioned way. Psychic, a stab move, is one of his better bets for doing that. Alternatively, depending on what his other move is, assuming it's not just Wish, something he could do here is he could freeze it with Ice Punch, he could paralyze it with T-Bolt, or with just Thunder. A burn doesn't super make a difference, but it can't hurt. Jirachi is getting the better end of it right now, and it's going to be safely behind its sub here after it kills Bliss with Psychic. And Johnny not going to allow it to happen. There's Starmie, who gets an unfortunate Specs drop, which is more likely because of Serene Grace. Surf pops the sub, and he just makes another sub, and certainly a non-crit Surf has no chance to get through that. Not going to be even close. And it is T-Bolt, so Rachi making a dent here. Altina looking to send us to a Game 3. But we now know that the Jirachi here does not have a super effective move against the Celebi. It's either Psychic or T-Bolt, and that's what he's got, whereas the Celebi, as I suspected, does have HP Fire as the last move, so the plot thickens here. There's Psychic, not bad, 27%, not great, but doesn't get the Specs drop that he's looking for. Psychic again, now 23%, as the Celebi begins to catch up on boosts. All of a sudden, this is turning around in a bad way against Altina. Celebi is almost as boosted as he is, but he's got a super effective move, and Altina does not. And now, all of a sudden, the Celebi is the big man on the totem pole, takes out the Rachi. He's very boosted. Altina going to have a hard time winning now. He's fishing for a freeze or a crit. Either one would be fantastic. He's going to need something like that to get out of this. There's another Ice Beam attempt. Doesn't find it here either. Giga Drain, 28%, keeping the Celebi healthy since it doesn't have recover. Ice Beam doing less and less as the boosts pile up. Now it does 16%. Here's another Ice Beam, 14%. Starting to get not too exciting. He's going to need a crit or a freeze. There's a Giga Drain. Celebi very healthy again. I don't know that Blissey is going to be around much longer. Can only take so many hits. There's the Psychic and the Knockout, and I think we're done. And with that, Altina is going to concede. Even though there's a Blissey on the other side, Super Celebi is going to sweep anyway, which really shows you the power of this Pokemon. There's a Rachi on the other side. There's a Gyarados on the other side. There's a Blissey and Narmaldo on the other side. These things all, in various ways, are good against Celebi. I mean, Blissey certainly walls it the vast majority of the time. Never mind with the aid of those other pokes. But even through all of that, the Super Celebi finds a way to win the game for Johnny. It sets up against the Jirachi very late in the game. This one goes 157 turns, and he gets it done. So we're not going to have a Game 3. Johnny's going to win 2-0. He's going to be our champ. And like I said, this is going to be his second win, his second ADV Open win this year. So out of 4 events, he's won 2 of them. That's very good. That is very impressive, especially considering the quality of the competition that plays in these events. So, you know, maybe Johnny... Maybe he should be someone I should be thinking about as skipping through play-ins and just being straight up in the Kalos Invitational 5 main event. He's looking very impressive these days. It's going to be interesting. He's going to be there somewhere, as will Altina. We haven't quite gotten to Kalos Invitational 5, but you're going to hear more about that tournament coming up soon as well. But in the meantime, thank you guys for watching, especially with the second longer game that... You know, maybe might not have been the most exciting, but I tried to make it decent for you. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I appreciate you guys watching. Like I said, I'll see you in the next video.